Tonight, on the headlines, will ASUU's patience finally run out after 2 years of unfulfilled promises? And in Anambra, can the APC break APGA's grip ahead of November's governorship showdown? Two big questions on the show tonight. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Let's begin with the first. For 16 years now, the 2009 agreement between the federal government and the Academic Staff Union of Universities has remained one of the most unresolved issues in Nigeria's education sector, casting a long shadow over public universities and the future of millions of students. This week, we've seen ASUU members stage nationwide protests, warning of an impending strike over unpaid salaries, withheld promotions, revitalization funds, and the long overdue renegotiation of the 2009 agreement. The union insists it has shown enough patience, keeping schools open for the past 2 years, but accuses government of responding at a painfully slow pace. So tonight, what exactly is at stake for both lecturers and students as the Tinubu administration made progress? Or is history about to repeat itself with yet another round of strikes? Let's bring in the ASUU president, Professor Christopher Piwona, who joins me on the program this evening. Prof, thank you for coming. After Tuesday's nationwide protest, has the federal government formally reached out to you for talks, or are you still waiting?
Well, thank you and good evening. We're still waiting.
That's interesting. I mean, what's the next plan for you now? What happened prior to this time before the protest? What kind of conversation was ongoing between ASUU and government?
Well, about 2 weeks ago, we had written to the Minister of Education requesting for a meeting. He obliged us, so we had a meeting with the minister, with officials of the ministry, and we discussed virtually all the issues that were before him. We had written him earlier on, and some of the issues we have rehashed in this program and in other places. The 2009 renegotiated document, our 35% 12 months arrears, the 3.5 months withheld salaries, and we also discussed the proliferation of universities with him. And I must say, at that meeting, he assured us that government was going to do something about the proliferation of universities. And just 2 days later, we heard that they had placed a moratorium for 7 years on the establishment of federal universities. So that was the major thing that happened at that meeting.
Which was in alignment with the request you made, right?
The issue.
Prof.
It's in alignment with a cry we have made for over 10 years. We had asked repeatedly that government should halt the establishment of new universities for over 10 years. But finally, well, they have acceded to that demand, and we hope that they would keep to it, because, like you know, almost in the same breath as they were placing the moratorium on public universities, they announced the establishment of 9 new private universities, despite their admission that access was no longer an issue for university admission. So we hope they will keep to the 7 years, but we wish they had extended it beyond 7 years.
You know, Prof, there's a public perception that the reason our universities have remained open for 2 years is because the Tinubu administration was doing its bit to stabilize the sector. Is that not the case?
Well, that's not the case. It's certainly not the case. Our universities have remained open in the last 2.5 years because members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities have decided that they were going to give the government some time to settle in and resolve the problems. Don't forget, at the time President Tinubu came to power, we almost shortly after that had a referendum in all our branches, and our members had resolved that we should declare a strike action. But we held back, thinking that we were going to give the government more time, and if they were given more time, they would address these issues. Unfortunately, they have been very slow in trying to address the issues. They have virtually slept on duty in addressing the issues. And so the 2.5 years stability thing that government claims they have done, which is this issue of what is it now? The EAA that they said they have given to us. The EAA has remained a very sore point each time we have issues with government. Recall that earned academic allowances have been an issue in virtually all our demands in the last 10 years. So we sat as a union and said, look, what can we do to exit this problem of EAA every time we're on strike? At that time, the arrears of our EAA was either 93 or 103 billion. Why I give you two figures is because even the Office of the Accountant General at a meeting with the former Minister of Labor, Ngige, could not agree on how much the figure was. So it was between 93 to 103 billion naira. And ASUU, on our own accord, we said, look, let's exit this problem. So we gave up 50% of that amount, which gave us about 50 billion naira. This is 50 billion naira of work done by members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities. We gave it up and said, give us 50 billion naira and then mainstream the EAA into our salaries going forward.
I hear you clearly, Prof. Please allow me to butt
What we
in
agreed.
because you appear to be saying that ASUU has also made some compromise, and it's really sad that 16 years after we're still talking about the 2009 agreement. But ASUU is also now threatening to go on strike again. My thinking is that doesn't seem to have solved the problem in 16 years, because we've seen quite a number of strikes, quite a number of industrial action, in your bid to have this agreement fulfilled. Nigerians are concerned if you go on strike again, if you are really sure that this government will solve all your problems. We have to go now, but if you had a minute or a few minutes in a closed-door meeting with President Tinubu tonight, what single demand, single most urgent demand that you'll be making, and what's the one compromise ASUU itself is willing to make?
I have a charter of demands that was given to me by members of ASUU across this country. I'll place that charter before him. I cannot say here that number one is more important than the other. My members didn't tell me that one was more important than the other. They told me that it was important that government signs the 2009 renegotiated agreement by the team that the government itself had set up. I will tell His Excellency President Tinubu that. I will tell him he had given us 35% salary increase, and he's owing us for 12 months. I'll tell him that the 3.5 months salary that is being withheld, I will appreciate him for allowing 4 months to be paid, but that 3.5 months is still outstanding, and it is for work done. It is not a gift. It is for work done. I will thank him for placing the moratorium on the establishment of new universities, and also commend him for releasing 50 billion naira revitalization fund. That's what I will say to him. But I don't have any power to say one item is more important than the other. Indeed, I will tell President Tinubu that of other university staff that help us to run the university, members of SANU, members of NASU, members of NAT, that it is important as he addresses our problems, he also attends to their demands so that the university can be stable and be stable for a long time to come, well beyond his administration.
National President ASUU, Professor Christopher Piwuna, we're hoping that these issues can be resolved amicably. Year after year, we've seen ASUU go on strike. It's really affected the quality of education. We're hoping the government can do its part and that ASUU can also find a more sustainable way to get government on board. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you very much.
Let's turn our attention now to Anambra as we count down to the critical governorship election coming up on the 8th of November this year. Last weekend's by-elections offered a telling glimpse into party fortunes in what felt like a pre-final for the main contest. We saw the ruling APGA sweeping the two available seats, Senatorial and State Assembly, and they say it's a way of cementing APGA's dominance. In fact, Governor Soludo has confidently declared that Anambra is APGA, dismissing APC, PDP, LP, ADC all put together as virtually non-entities in the state's political landscape. Let's talk to APC chairman in Anambra State and find out precisely how the party is reacting to this development. I'm joined by the chairman of the APC in Anambra State, Mr. Basil AJTK, joins me live from our Abuja studio. Thank you so much for joining us this hour. Your party trailed far behind APGA in the just concluded by-election. Some say it's a sign of what's to come in November. What do you say?
Thank you so much, my brother Nifemi, for welcoming me. Yes, the so-called election was held almost 2 weeks ago, but the fact remains that there was no election. There was no election in the sense that a situation where non-state actors had to take over the responsibility of providing security in an election, of course, you agree with me, cannot be understood. In Anambra State on the day in question, the Agune Chamber, which is the local vigilante set up by the state government, had to, in fact, as early as 9 o'clock, had to surround the home of the APC candidate for that election. They came in not less than 50 Sienna buses and surrounded his home on a flimsy excuse that some people brought in ballot boxes to his home. And of course, you can imagine how funny. At this level of our electoral development, how can one be talking of people taking ballot papers? And of course, that was what they had to put up to do what they did. The candidate of the party was held hostage for over 4 to 5 hours. And as that was going on, the deputy governor of the state, who obviously had no business going to that part of the state. Of course, the deputy governor hails from the Central Senatorial District and resides in Oka. But he had to leave Oka in such a manner with armament of army, police, state vigilante service, civil defense, and invaded the home of the APC governorship candidates in the person of Owele Dr. Nicholas Okachuku, and even trailed him to his polling booth where he had gone to exercise his franchise. The deputy governor had to engage him, all in an effort to distract him and cause confusion.
I hear you. Allow me to jump in quickly, Mr. Ejidike, because I've spoken with the APC governorship candidate on the news on this matter, and he also gave us a detailed outline of what really happened. I'm hoping that we can move on from that, because you've expressed some concerns about what you claim to be compromised votes in the by-election. Does that mean that APC doesn't trust the system ahead of November? Are you saying you don't trust INEC to conduct a free and fair election come November 2025?
No, Nifemi, we had actually had every trust. But what played out was still very confusing to each and every one of us. And like I said, a situation where non-state actor had to take over the issue of providing security. Apart from that, the deputy governor had to even visit the governorship candidate of the party, had to engage him, all in an effort to distract him. But that was not even enough. The same day, the APC chairman of Unri ward, where the deputy governorship candidate, distinguished Senator Uche Ekunife hails from, the APC chairman of his hometown, that's his ward, was murdered the same day. So why the deputy governorship candidate was engaged at Unri, the senatorial candidate of the party was held hostage in his house for more than 4 to 5 hours. The governorship candidate of the party was engaged by the deputy governor of the state. My brother, what do you expect from that situation? And the deputy governor did not even end there. He finished from there and arrogated to himself the duty of going around the various communities to supervise and monitor the election.
Precisely.
So you can imagine.
What mechanisms is your party proposing now ahead of November, especially to INEC and security forces in this regard?
Of course, we have learned our lessons, and of course, we expect that such a thing can never happen again. Yes, where the party is looking into the whole thing, and we come up with full statement in due course. But more importantly, the fact that there's obviously no way the party can allow a situation where non-state actor had to take over the issue of providing security in an election situation. It's never done anywhere, and nobody can allow that. That was exactly the situation.
Yes. All of that aside, you know, I understand your grievances. I expect that all of the issues you've talked about, you've also perhaps gone to court or petitioned the police or other relevant agencies so that you can also, you know, get to the end of it. But Anambra is an APGA state, right? You are contesting against an incumbent governor. So that makes it a little bit difficult. He's also a governor that identifies as progressive. We've seen him with the president a couple of times. The last time he visited, he had a cap on like you do. The only difference is that he wrote progressives working together. So I'm wondering how you're recalibrating your strategy in a state that has an APGA governor and that also has some form of camaraderie with Mr. President.
Well, of course, as a party, we have been doing our best. We've been engaging our people, convincing them on the need to support APC, and they have been following. They have understood exactly what we are saying. And there again, there's this common understanding in Anambra State that APGA, having stayed in government for over 21 years, APGA has not gotten anything to offer to the party, to the people of Anambra State. And then mind you, that
I thought it was
the
19
mantra
years.
of the state governor
yes.
has been that APC never existed in Anambra State. But I wonder whether he's still saying the same thing today. The governor has now come to realize the fact that APC is not just entrenched in the state, but that APC is already threatening the position which he's occupying today. And again, my brother Nifemi, you can understand the situation where the governor has not even performed at all. Poor performance of the administration is one of the things that are enhancing the position of APC in Anambra State. The governor has not even provided the dividend of democracy to the people of Anambra State. Anambra State today is engulfed with insecurity. 1/3 of Anambra State today cannot be accessed by anybody because of insecurity. There's a lot of multiple taxation in Anambra today. A woman selling vegetables is subjected to multiple taxation, just like ordinary citizen selling granules in a wheelbarrow is subjected to multiple taxation.
So,
and of course, the activities.
Yes.
Yes.
I hear you clearly. You know, interestingly, politicians have different narratives. The last time we spoke with an APGA, person who was talking about the efforts of government in, minimizing taxation, how they've also improved security in Anambra over the years. But we have to go now. What really would you say is the APC's core message to Anambra voters right now, especially those who feel APGA has already won? Why should they stay engaged and consider APC as a viable option in November 8? We can do that in a minute.
Well, of course, because we have a viable candidate in the person of Dr. Owele Nicholas Okachukwu. This is somebody who is a thoroughbred politician, a very successful businessman, and of course in Anambra State today, the combination of Okachukwu and Iyom Ekunise, of course, has been the greatest thing to happen to anybody. It is a combination to be beat by any individual, by any party. So the coming on board of Okachukwu, of course, has that potential of changing things around.
All right.
Because Okachukwu, apart from having made his way, like I said, a thoroughbred politician, successful businessman, he has done a lot for the people, a very calm individual, and of course, as a pastor, he has that human milk in his person. He doesn't claim to know everything. And mind you, back home in Osumeni, Okachukwu is known as a philanthropist. He has provided so much for his people. And at a point, he was the second highest employer of labor in Anambra State. Through his mega factory at Nkwo. And unfortunately, that has to be closed because of the insecurity in Anambra State.
I hear you clearly.
What I'm saying, in essence, is that with Okachukwu as the candidate of the party, of course, APGA knows that they are in trouble.
I get time will tell, Mr. Ejidike, and we'll see how Anambra voters decide come November. I've been speaking with Basil Ejidike, who's APC chairman in Anambra State. We have to go. We probably will continue this conversation subsequently. Thank you so much for joining us on Beyond the Headlines.
Thank you so much, Nifemi, for having me.
That's our show today, everyone. Remember, you can watch it again at midnight and 6 a.m. tomorrow. I am Nifemi Okuntoye.